So we're here this afternoon at Heritage Park in beautiful downtown Macclenny. Look at that beautiful lawn. And we're here with Peter Theofield. How are you doing today, Peter?
Fine, sir. Fine.
And I see that you were in the Air Force.
Yes, sir?
And during the Korean War?
Yes.
And what did you do for the Air Force?
I was in electronics. I went through radio school at Scottsdale, Illinois, 36 weeks. And from there, I just graduated into comm shops here and there in the States before I finally went overseas. Took them a basic in Texas, like most guys, I guess. The way I feel about my service is I enjoyed every minute of it, but there were so many guys that had it worse than me, a lot worse. I first went overseas just after the Korean War ended, and I was in Japan for 3 years. I got in and out of Seoul, Korea twice on a maintenance airplane, Bird, and that was the closest that I ever got to, I guess, being hurt. I spent, like I say, 3 years in Japan. I got to see all of the things after they happened in World War II, which I thought was just wonderful. I always wanted to travel, and the Air Force gave me that opportunity. Let's see, well, my tour in Japan, other than seeing a lot of things and enjoying what it had to offer, I found that the Japanese people, of course, it was a lot different when I was there, were very, very nice people. They were good to me, they were good to my friends. However, I'm trying to figure out what I want to tell you so I don't use up all your film.
We've got plenty of film. Just
okay.
Relax and tell us what you'd like to say.
Oh, okay. Well, I really had a great tour in Japan. My dad's sister was in Tokyo while I was there at Tachikawa, and I got to see my aunt. I got to see things like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I see what was left over after the bombs dropped there. Some of the cement embankments, walkway, well, I forget what you call them, put your hands on them. Anyway, in the cement, the bombs had actually caused the photographs of the people that were walking there when that bomb went off. It was so hot. It was things like that that I got to see, having gone in when I went in. I saw all the bad things, or the after effects. But I worked with a Japanese company for 2 years as an Air Force plant rep while I was there. They were all, couldn't have been nicer to me. I kind of enjoyed myself there, and I said, gosh, when I get out of here, I think I'd like to go back over someplace else. So I asked for a consecutive tour, and after I had extended 1 year there in Japan, and I went to France. I was the luckiest guy in the world. They said, well, where do you want to go? I said, France. Figuring I'd get close to Paris. Sure enough, they sent me to Evreux, France, 60 miles out of Paris. And I heard Sam mention Frankfurt, Germany. That's where I landed. And believe it or not, in 1956, when I got to Frankfurt, what they call the Bahnhofstrasse, the road that run down to the train station, I walked on one side and all the little shops were working just fine. Greenwich Ditzel places and all that sort of thing. On the other side, it was just rubble. Just like the B-17s had come through there and dropped bombs. It was just wiped out. That was in '56, and that's, 8, 9 years after they came through there, or more than that, 10 years. But any which way, my stay in France at Evreux was just wonderful. As an Air Force, first I started in the comm shop in attack squadron, and in 1957, the Air Force changed.
You mentioned train, and sure enough, there's a train.
Right, the Air Force took all of the maintenance shops out of the individual squadrons and put together what they called a CAM squadron, Consolidated Aircraft Maintenance. And when I got into that squadron, I was in the comm shop, but I was assigned as one of two that were assigned to an aircraft, one of the C-130s that we had there. And what we did was we took our test equipment, guys from the prop shop took a prop, other guys, took equipment so that they could do the repair as we would fly into bases where airplanes were out of commission. And we would work on them, get them back into commission, and then go back home. Either that, if there was something special going on, like the best trip that I ever had was when Eisenhower came over. He landed in Copenhagen, and that's where we met him. And we went from Copenhagen, we came down, let's see, well, we went all the ways down to Italy, Naples, then we went over to Greece, then we went over to the Near East, and we went to Tehran, Iran, and then we went to Delhi, and that was where the end of the thing was, and that's where I got to see the president. Oh, well, not far, but from here to the city hall. Anyway, while we were there, I was really surprised. The ship captain came and told me, he says, Pete, he says, get the rest of the guys and unload the equipment. So we unloaded the MD3 power unit. We had a spare engine. We took that off, and I asked him, I said, sir, are we going someplace? He says, yes, but I ain't going to tell you right now. So anyway, he says, we're not going to be gone that long on the flight. So anyway, I said, okay, we got it off. We had one air policeman with us. That poor sucker had to stay there. So the maintenance guys and myself got on the airplane. We went, you know where we went? Taj Mahal, Agra, India. And we got to visit the Taj Mahal. I just, boy, that was really something, I thought, anyway. It was just great. I had a Canon camera, like I was saying, that man, and I've got a box of color slides. I must have 100 that I took in all these places. But anyway, from Delhi, we headed back, from Delhi to Greece to Piraeus, just out of Athens, then all the way back to Evreux. We got to Evreux, and I was never scared on an airplane until we started to land there. And I should have known better because I know exactly what an ILS system is. It was so foggy, you couldn't see from here to that light right there in front of you. I was standing behind the captain. He says, no problem. The old airplane just do it like that. Set it right down there, the line up here, and we landed. But anyway, I came back to the States and I got out of the communications field. They wanted me, they actually had no choice. They transferred me into what they call missile systems. And I was in the first instructor squadron for Minuteman missiles, which is this one.
The Missileers badge.
Right. We were the first. We put together the lesson plans and so forth, a course outline, syllabus, everything that it would take to teach the guys that were coming in to the Minuteman systems. they were already building holes out in Montana and places like that to put the Minutemen in. But anyway, I was only there for 2 years. I decided rank was tough. I couldn't make any rank. I was still an E5. So I said, to heck with it. A tech rep told me, he says, Pete, he says, I'll get you a job with us out in California as a tech rep. And I said, oh man, that sounded great. So I went out to California, got out of the service. I worked for Autonetics Division in North American as a training rep. When that gave out, I went to Lockheed Missile and Space Company. Well, I hired in through it was a field engineering organization over in the valley, and they sent me up to Silicon Valley, to LMSC, Lockheed Missile and Space Company. I've done 27 years with Lockheed. I finished my school. What can I say? Well, I wound up in the systems engineering organization with Lockheed, and in that group, I had the opportunity to travel a lot, and I spent time at the Navy bases. All the time I was with Lockheed, I worked basically with the Navy. Anyway, I was at the submarine bases. I retired here in St. Mary's, at the missile base over in St. Mary's, with 27 years service with Lockheed. And that was the end of my working years. I enjoyed my service time. It just did, every now and then it would hurt me to think about things, especially when I was in France. I rode a motorcycle the whole time I was there. I went to Dachau, I went to Auschwitz, I forget where else, but I went to 3 of the prison camps. And at that time, that was like early in '59. And the ovens still stood open. There was gray ashes still in there, and some, not all. Some of them had been cleaned up. I got to look at where they called it the blood ditch. It was a big mound where they would line up the people that were there. And they shot them and they just fell in this ditch. They called it that ditch. I went through the buildings where they had the shower heads. And the shower heads, instead of water coming out, they put so many in those buildings at a time. Gas came out of there. They gassed the people. And then from there, they took the dead ones on these on the thing, and they put them. Well, they put the people on. It was kind of a iron. What you carry people on. It was iron, and the bodies were on that. And every time that they were killing these people, there was 2 big chimneys that the people that lived in the town, right there, I remember by Dachau, there was two chimneys that the people from down in the city could see. Black smoke would come out, so they knew when they were burning bodies. But it was things like that that I got to see. That was kind of like an after-the-fact thing. And it was, you know, those poor people, any which way. I enjoyed the Air Force. I traveled all over the world. And I was just one lucky dude. And now I have 1 more year to be 90 and still doing great.
Well, congratulations on being 90, Peter. That's quite.
No, I'm not 90 yet. I got
90.
another year to go.
Well, we'll be back in a year then to interview you.
And I thank you very much coming down and doing this for the fellows over there that really deserved it. Okay. Okay.
Now, Peter, you say you come to this park most days of the week for a coffee?
Oh, these donkeys over here, these old guys over here, yeah, a bunch of us come down and we go over there and have coffee every morning and shoot the breeze, you know.
Now, donkeys, are you talking about Army
No,
or
they're-
Navy? Or
They're all goats. They're all
old goats?
over there, yeah.
They're old goats.
Old goats, yeah. But they're all my buddies. They're all my buddies. And I wouldn't trade one of them for $1 million. Yeah.
Very good.
Uh,
Thank you, Peter. You're hooked up with the microphone. We'll get you.
yeah.
We'll get you detached.
Okay.
It's no big deal.
You better watch Pete, or he'll try to
Watch
take
that
it with him
closeness
and
now.
start doing karaoke on it.